Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner AFRY. AFRY is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. Today we have a great story from AFRY. I have the pleasure to welcome my colleague, Kaia Eichler, Head of Sustainability Buildings at AFRY. Hey, and welcome to Urbanistica podcast, Kaia.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for giving your time. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
You're our storyteller for this episode. How would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your passion?
A very good question. I would like to introduce myself as a person that is has high ambitions, both for myself and for others or for organizations, and I see many possibilities, and that's something what I'm very passionate about. And I also realized a few years back that it's very important for me to work with leadership or leading the change, or with something that has let's say makes deep impact or meaning. So it's more about like leading let's say an important question than maybe working in the management of people and so on. So it's a lot about engaging others and inspiring in order that it would be better for everyone. Sounds very, how to say, world peace announcement, but really, truly, I'm really passionate about that. And sometimes I'm quite, let's say, in shock or surprise myself where that passion comes from.
And tell me more, Kaia, about your background. Like, where did you grow up? What did you study?
I come from Tallinn, from Estonia.
Very beautiful city, especially during the Christmas time.
Oh, thank you. I completely agree with you. Yeah, the old town there is very, very beautiful, very magical, and I truly miss it sometimes. So I try to visit when I'm at home. So yeah, I come from Tallinn, and I have studied civil engineering within or specialized within environmental engineering and HVAC design. And since it's completely very connected to energy systems. So then when I started working, I specialized within energy efficiency in buildings and environmental coordination. And therefore we come to sustainable buildings or sustainable building, let's say, services, early stages. Then also I studied 1 year in Barcelona, and that was very fun, very challenging also because I studied in Spanish and in Catalan.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was very fun. The most fun part was when we had with most of the other like German students, we took English course, like technical English, and the assignment was to find or let's say to correct the English, but it was written from Spanish, so we were very confused. so none of us really got like the maximum grade there.
Wow. I can imagine.
And we were very confused because we were like, yeah, but I thought my English was good, but like no,
not here.
No. So it was very, very funny, yeah. And then also I did last half of the year my studies in Gothenburg. And therefore, I'm in Sweden. So I did like master thesis here and my internship, and yeah. Nice.
And from that time, you stayed in Sweden?
Yes, that's true. To my big surprise, because that wasn't really like the plan to stay, but it was very conscious the move or to do my thesis in Sweden, because Sweden is one of the leading countries in the world globally within sustainable buildings. So that was very conscious to come here. But then let's say to my surprise, I stayed, but I wasn't really surprised that I would really like it here, because the people are very nice, very friendly, very also ambitious, let's say, and truly the working climate is very inclusive. Not so much hierarchy. It's more like let's talk about like the actual matter here. So I'm really enjoy it here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And a small question: don't tell me that you did your thesis in Swedish.
No. No.
Then I'd be like, what?
Yeah. Good question. No, thank God not. Because
after Barcelona, no.
No, that would have been too much. But so that was in English. But when I got hired at my previous company, actually like overnight, it was in Swedish, and I still remember the meeting with one of the persons from HR. Very lovely woman, and we went through like the contract in Swedish, and I was like, I'm not really following, but sounds good.
I will make some money, so sounds good.
Yeah, it's like I trust you. So the numbers are international, so it's good.
Yeah. The unit to measure is like with energy and so on.
Yeah.
That's good story.
Yeah.
So now in AFRY, you are head of sustainability buildings. What does it mean? And tell us more about what are you working with?
Yes, and as I mentioned before about the possibilities, and actually like pursuing them and making them into reality, and that has really been the case for me, which I'm very proud of and very, very happy for, because that also shows me a lot about the, let's say, the Swedish working culture, that let's say if you are ambitious, you really get also the possibilities. So you make the things happen. Of course, it's also important to be like there, to realize that if you want to get things done, you have to do it like yourself, at least take the initiative. So what I work with today is I'm head of sustainability for buildings, which is a business area at AFRY, and we are 2,000 consultants in 6 European countries. Whereas 1,100 about is in Sweden.
Wow.
So yeah, we are the second biggest business area right now. And why I point out that, because I just talked to some of our managers and also about the webinar, because the building sector in the EU, we contribute 36% of the greenhouse gas emissions.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes, that's crazy. Or let's say, to be more precise, it's construction sector. So it's buildings and infrastructure. And yes, we have the goal to be climate neutral in EU is 2050. Also, the construction sector contributes to 9.5% of the gross domestic product, GDP, in the EU. So that's where we can make the impact. And that coming back to then the next biggest BA business area in AFRY is also that it's very important that we actually take that role to lead the change, or not to say change, it's to lead the transition towards a more sustainable society.
It's a positive change in the end.
Yes, definitely. But it's again back to the same approach that it's not someone else, it's we that need to lead that transition. So it's and also to be quite humble towards that mission, let's say.
I would love to talk more about this. This is, I think, a very important topic, the leadership, like why you think this is your mission and what kind of leadership we needed. But before we go to this important topic, I would love to hear from you. How do you define a sustainable and a climate neutral building? Like, what does it mean?
Good question. Yes, a sustainable, a climate neutral building, by definition, it's a building that has a neutral climate impact. So it's net zero greenhouse gas emissions. And then one might wonder, what does that mean? Because we know that we have quite high demand for heating, especially in the Nordics, quite high demand for cooling during the summer months, especially in commercial buildings. or in some buildings also the whole year around. So that means that we need to really decrease the fossil fuels or the fossil energy, because during the use phase the buildings use a lot of energy. So we need to build our buildings more energy efficient. And when we come mostly to the new construction, we need to also decrease the climate impact from materials. And this is something that is done now in Sweden, that from next year, from 1st of January, there will be a law for climate declaration for building materials.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. So basically a building that has no climate impact. And it is possible. It is definitely possible.
Yeah, but can we say it's during the use phase or the design phase, the early phase? How can we call, like, when can we call this building is really climate neutral? Is after the construction, or you look at the whole story, construction and after?
Exactly. So it's a life cycle perspective that we need to really consider here, and a holistic approach. So we have to have integrated energy systems between buildings. So really, let's say the shared economy approach, that we really see the holistic perspective and the life cycle. So yes, the answer is that it's climate neutral from in the design phase and during the use phase. And it's also that we need to increase the renewable energy, for example, for the building. So basically maximize, let's say, maximize the capacity for more renewable energy. And in order to do that, we need to see a holistic approach, like from a city perspective, not only like single building or a single property owner. So we need to really work together.
Exactly. And now I'm thinking about the architects, when they draw the buildings. I mean, can they really memorize and know all about this energy efficiency and how to deal with the different topics in order to make it climate neutral? Like, how do you deal with that? Do they need a sustainability expert within the team, or they know it by themselves? How is it in the real life? Tell us.
I will be happy to tell you because that's also one of my many passions in the, let's say, in the building industry or sector, because I worked 10 years with early design stages, and I must say I love architects. And why I say it like that, or what I mean, I truly mean it, because I really enjoy a creative design process. And what I mean by that is that basically, let's say the worst thing that can happen, that you have an architect that does exactly as you say as a sustainability consultant, and that's not the point of the whole thing, because it needs to be a creative process. Because yes, a sustainability consultant, or as we say in Sweden, is an energy and environmental coordinator in the projects. The role is to let's say put on the agenda, or put like the requirements. And see that the function is as sustainable as possible. But the role of the architect is also to make sure that this building is something we will be proud of when it's built. Yeah. Because otherwise, let's say there is no case, because you already know how the most sustainable building will look like. It's a box with, let's say, no windows, and that's no fun. And no one would really enjoy using that building. So definitely there should be a sustainability consultant in early stages, because we do have different competences. And also I would say that the matter has become rather complex. So it could have expert in every field, not only in sustainability, of course, and to work as a team, because then we actually in a team, when everybody let's say has the conditions to do their job and to do their part of the whole project, then I think we will achieve the best result. Of course, because then it's a really good team game, like where everybody contributes with something. Exactly. But is there a good harmony between the sustainability expert and the architects? How do you find this teamwork? I think definitely very good harmony because the matter of sustainability has really changed a lot during the past 10 years only, as I have worked for 10 years, and which is very, very positive. And then also at the same time, I would say that it's really a matter of competence. And which I really I enjoy that it's really a matter of competence in the, let's say, in the end of the day. It's not about who has the like most fancy profile, let's say, because there's also this prestige, of course, in projects, but that's also fun. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of competence, and I would say that it maybe takes 2 questions, and you realize like the level of competence, or let's say knowledge. When it comes to sustainability, more knowledge, because the competence is for the consultant has to provide that, but the knowledge, like how, or the experience. So with 2 questions, okay, we need to start from that level. And it's more fun to start from a, let's say, higher level, that there is someone that already has experience from previous projects, let's say, that then you can actually put more effort and time in creating something, let's say, even better, a better solution. So it's a matter of knowledge and the time it will take.
I think, Kaia, you're highlighting very important aspect of sustainability now, because this is like how much your client know, or which level, and even your team players. So it's always good to make sure that you're on the same page.
Yes, yes, very, very important. And so it's very fascinating or interesting, because it can be a soccer team, it can be a team, internal team you work with your colleagues, or it's a team in a building project. So it's a lot about psychology, how the team building part, the leadership in that, to really create the conditions that people feel comfortable to be truly genuine about what they know and what they do not know. It's very important, because when we don't say that, okay, actually I have no idea what you're telling me right now, could you please explain me again? Then we can make the breakthrough that, okay, then everybody feels comfortable, and then we can achieve the best result.
Did it happen that people didn't tell you the truth, that they just pretend that they know, and then you'd be like, oh, we are in trouble, like after many days?
Oh, yes, of course there are some experiences like that. Let's say, yes, but at the same time, nothing that you can't fix.
Yeah, I understand.
But there are some funny stories, not only about the knowledge, but like, that you find out something in very, very late that has a huge impact on achieving the goals. So
So in buildings, in your business area, are you only sustainability expert, or what are the different team players that you have? Architects, team?
Yes. So let's say when we start in a new construction, when we start the building, then it's the client, and the client is mostly the property owner. And then they have an idea, we need to build this new building, because probably they have, let's say, a tenant that wants to move in there, or they will then have to find tenants. And then in the team, there will be the project manager, the architect, then also the HVAC designer, the electrical engineer, the structural engineer, and the main contractor, let's say. These are the main parts that have the huge impact on how sustainable the building will be. And the role, as I mentioned before, how we call it in Sweden, it's called, in translation, it's energy coordinator. And that's a specialist for energy parts, so building simulations, daylighting, asset design, indoor climate. So it's a specialist in renewable energy, also like putting the requirements for the energy aspect, the energy performance, and like more like technical part. And then there's another role that is the environment coordinator, and normally it depends on the size of the project, but that's two different persons that sort of complete each other, because they both lead that the project team in order that the building would be sustainable. And the environmental coordinator is normally we also have an environmental certification system for the project, like LEED, BREEAM, or in Sweden is Miljöbyggnad. Or even Fitwell, and then they use that methodology in order to sort of follow up, set the goal, and also follow up and work with materials and the database for that to help the project, the team members in order that they could actually do their best in their solutions. So it's a very interesting and also challenging role in projects, and I make many parallels from that from my also in my work as a head of sustainability, because basically that's the role I have in our let's say internal organization. It's the same as in projects. It's just the goals are a bit more different, and I also like to say that. A building project it's amazing because there is a very clear goal. You are going to build a building, and everybody knows when you have reached the goal because the building is done.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes, but in organizations it's much harder because it's not really sure that everybody really knows where we're headed, and you really have to work much harder with how does it look like when you have reached the goal.
Yeah. And Kaia, does the client ask that I want a certificated building, or how does it work? Or you suggest, okay, your building should be certificated because of this and this and this?
It's both, but I would say that in Sweden it has become, let's say, sort of standardized, if that's the word I'm looking for. So it's most of the new buildings, I don't know the percentage right now, are certified. And then what we do, we help the client to choose which kind of certification system, because there are international ones, the Swedish one, some have more focus on materials, some have more focus on energy, and so on, and also who is the target group, who is the tenant, who is the client's client that will use the building, and that's another thing also, that actually the client's client normally also has a requirement on sustainability, which is then made very concrete in using one certification system. Another reason why it's used is its green obligations. Sorry, that's not the right translation. Bonds, green bonds. Now it's like a Swinglish there. Obligationer. So yeah, green bonds, and this is also like for the part how they finance the building. And another thing, this is being like really nerdy now, but very interesting and very what's happening right now. It's the EU taxonomy, and that's how they will classify and clarify in order to compare different financial activities. And there's for all the sectors, and for buildings is also how that will affect how we build our buildings, because there will be let's say requirements in order to be able to finance. And the reason for that is that we would have incentives and also let's say methodology how to reach climate neutrality.
Does it cost so much?
The certification?
Yeah.
I would say no, and not today. It can cost, let's say, in the terms of time. So the consultancy time, the design phase, you need to invest more time for the people to understand what they're working with. But today we are very experienced in our industry in the projects. So I would say no, because as I said, there are requirements that you would have that also, and we can't also forget the sole purpose of it. So it's not only about decreasing the greenhouse gas emissions. It's not only about that. It's actually a quality checkup, because it's a methodology well known for everyone. You will also make sure that you have a very good indoor climate. So it's the sole purpose is that we will have a better environment where we work and live for the people, and we can't forget that. So therefore, back to that reference that the most sustainable building would be a box, but no one would want to use it. So it's always a matter of finding the balance between the requirements, and in the end of the day, we are building a building for people to be inside of it, to use the building.
Of course,
it's not for in the matter of decreasing the greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah. And talking about people, how do I, as a user or as a person in the city, notice that this building is climate neutral building? Is there something like that I can notice apart from being a box with no windows?
Well, yes. The main thing is that there will be a label on the in the entrance when you're certified. You put that in, so it's like as you buy, let's say, I won't say a product, but in grocery store, there you have like a label, like the Nordic Swan label, that it's environmentally friendly product. The same you have for buildings, that you have a label on the door. But at the same time, also we are focusing, since most of our clients have high ambitions in sustainability when it comes to their properties, then they also focus on how can we show to people that we are working with sustainability. And then usually it's like, let's put the solar cells on the roof that people can see them, or maybe when we're building a timber construction, that you would see that it's from timber. Okay. So like some kind of these things that people can easily relate to. Yeah. But for me, of course, it's the size of the windows, it's the solar shading.
You're a nerd, so
definitely. I'm always like taking picture of different atriums in buildings. Okay. And so it's
also like when you're on the bus, you say, certificated, not certificated, certificated.
I guess it's so interesting to see, like, or also wondering, like, how this certified building, but it looks like that.
How is it possible?
Or also, actually, yesterday with my colleague, we were checking our other office, and I was like, okay, this one is not certified because the office spaces are very deep in the building, because the daylight is too far. It's like, it's true, because it's an existing building they renovated. I was like, oh, okay, it must be. Yes.
I see. You're so much passionate about this topic now. When I look at your face,
I realize I'm shocked myself. It's like, where does this come from? But it's true, actually.
I'm so happy always every time when I see people really passionate about what they work with, because that time we can get the maximum creativity and happiness from the people, and we get this sustainable solution. And Kaia, I'm thinking now, you as you mentioned, we have the knowledge in order to create sustainable buildings. So, but what are the challenges that cities are facing? Like, why we cannot just turn all the city to climate nature?
The city approach. I think when I think from the buildings perspective, it's that we have different property owners. Because what is a city? A city is let's say a complex of many buildings with different operations for different purposes of infrastructure and the people using it, and hopefully some green areas, of course, in a city, urban environment. And so I would say the challenge is that we have different property owners. One part. At the same time, there are many initiatives and many good examples where the property owners have come together in a consortium to work together and to in order to achieve a more holistic approach. But then maybe the challenge can be that the legislation, like for example, that how you can actually calculate the use of renewable energy for that building. If you have put some solar cells on the roof, mostly that's the main thing that we do in Sweden. And then it's I have an existing building just next to where I'm building my new building, and but I can't really use the roof there because then it depends how I calculate in the legislation. So there are some these things. So basically, there is a reason why we say that the solution is cooperation, that we work together. And this is meant also that it's not only that we want to do that, it's also that we need to have the incentives and the conditions to do it, actually, so to remove the obstacles. But at the same time, in order to do that, we also need to know what are the obstacles. So yeah, to think a more holistic approach.
When you say we, what do you mean? Who?
We that work with the properties or in the construction sector, but also other stakeholders, of course. And when we talk about the city, which is very, very good, very interesting, that we have a lot of calls for innovation projects, because it's very clear initiative for EU to become climate neutral. And the innovation projects, as I see it, the purpose there is, of course, that you build a group or a consortium, as you say it in English, maybe, of many different stakeholders, that you also have to have the users, so the city approach, the public approach when you're building a part of the city. And so we are also working with this kind of projects together with our clients, with academia and other stakeholders.
But who's the main responsible for this? Is it like the property owner, the city authorities, who?
It's in different levels, different stakeholders, but most of it starts with legislation, of course. So on that level, because then it's not a choice anymore. So basically, let's say we need to help people to make a good choice. So you start with legislation, but let's say in our daily work, our as AFRY consultants, it is the client that is the property owner. So and they need to need consultancy or good advice in which is the best choice for them to make, and when they think of the legislation, but also for the economic part and the social sustainability there. So it is the property owner that has to have ambitions, and then it's also the main contractor, so that we follow through the whole phase, that we don't change the requirements or the goals during the process also. So
these high ambitions need a specific type of leadership. So what kind of leadership is needed now in order to make things go more sustainable?
We need brave leadership. And with brave leadership, I would say it's about daring to say when you don't know, daring to be inclusive, daring to really put in the effort and to engage people, because it's a lot about that. That it's good dynamics. You have good energy with people. It's a lot about psychology. And why do we need to do it? It's not really my rhetoric, but as we know from the news and everywhere, we are in climate crisis.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we say that, because it's not really about saving the nature or the animals. It's about survival for humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have brave leaders in the market today?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, definitely. And we are having, let's say, dialogue or discussion about that. What is leadership about? So definitely, yes.
And does it cost so much to go to be more sustainable? As a leader, in the end, it's about how much do we need to invest.
Definitely. And we can't forget that aspect either, because as I discussed with, I think some of my, some colleague, that it's also, we can't forget it's not really about, let's say, tree hugging. We can't think that, but since this is, let's say, we will do it because it's the right thing to do. Also, sustainability is about economic sustainability. So we need to also make profit for the society to function.
Yeah.
And in order to make more we make profit in order to be able to make investments into development and innovation, so that everything is how you stick together in the bigger picture.
Does it cost so much to be a brave leader?
No, I don't think so. It's quite basic, quite easy.
Yeah. Very interesting reflection, Kaia. And as you know, in Urbanistica podcast, together with my guest, I explore what is a smart city. Mm-hmm. And now I have very interesting point of view from you. So from your point of view, from your experience, how would you define a smart city? How do you imagine a smart city?
I would say a smart city is a city that anticipates, let's say, my need or our need before it occurs. It's a city that is integrated, and especially emphasis on the word smart. So smart that we don't have any waste in energy, in waste as the word waste. So we are really smart about our resources. So resource efficiency, let's say.
Are we there now?
No.
Are we far away?
Yes, because I'm reflecting on 2050. It's not so many years left for the climate neutral goal, and even 2030 is actually 9 years.
Yeah.
So and that's one panelist yesterday said 9 years. It's 3 project cycles. So it's like 3 projects we can build during the time. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
And we learn from every project. So the challenge actually is really like truly how we accelerate the transition.
Yeah.
And as I also said in our management team, that we will see many changes, and it will happen fast. So just like for everyone, take a reflection on what does that mean, and in order to really be successful in many aspects there, we need brave leadership.
Of course. And from what I hear now, so are we going to make it to the target, or we need really to accelerate like all in?
That's a very good question, and now I'm being bit like politically in my what should I say? I mean,
let's be honest.
Honestly, I think it's very important to be positive. So yes. So yes, because we are working hard. Like there is the. It starts with the choices, as I said, but also the. That we want, and we are aware of the need of it. So definitely, I completely believe in that we want a better world, and we want things to work out. It's just more about, let's say, the awareness, the knowledge, and where we are on the change curve. Like, because it takes also time. We are in different parts of that. I don't know if you're aware of the curve of change, that in the beginning we're in denial, and then we are a bit negative, and then we reach during that time we are like quite low energy, but then when we accept the change, and then we start to think solutions, so we are like moving forward.
Mm-hmm. A small question, Kaia. Apart from like investors and money, do we have the knowledge to pass this challenge, to achieve the goal?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, now I have hope. So it's a matter of the leaders and the investors to put their money in this and to accelerate it, right?
Exactly. It's that, and also to learn new ways to work together.
Yeah.
and to use the knowledge, because I would say it's not only in sustainability. I think that the knowledge is there, but we really haven't known how to apply that. Or implement. So it's really to learn new ways to apply the knowledge.
Okay, great. So then we have the knowledge. Okay, now I'm happy. Now I can see the light in the
Good to know.
in 2030 and 2050.
Yeah, let's follow up.
Exactly. And you as Kaia, you as head of sustainability buildings at AFRY, what are the challenges that you're facing?
There are a lot of possibilities for us, because also it's a completely new role for the business area, which is very amazing that we think that this is an important topic, and that will actually also create more value for the company, for our clients. So the challenges are basically because we are a large organization and a large business area, and as I just mentioned, that we are in different phases of the curve of change, and we need to become more aware and as same as in the society or in the sector, the knowledge part, and find ways to work together. Actually, yes, the new ways that we. And how we can help each other.
Is it tough to be a head of sustainability? Do you like it?
I really like it, because as I said, I'm passionate about the opportunities, and when I see that there are opportunities that you can create new things or find new ways, then then I get a lot of energy from that. And at the same time, as I said, there's a lot of parallels to working in a project also. It's the same that in the beginning we're like more wondering what's this about, and then everybody's on board, and then you're more focused on, okay, how do we solve this? So it's a process. And so I'm really happy for the role, and I have really competent colleagues in all of AFRY. So that's really, really great.
Yeah, shout out to all of the great team players at AFRY, but also in the market that I guess all they're working hard in order so we achieve sustainability somehow.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
And now I see I'm in front of me a very passionate person. So what is your favorite building? You're the head of sustainability buildings. Should have some favorite building.
Yes, and maybe I don't know if you're anticipating an answer like a very known building, but actually I didn't. I was a bit nerdy in when I thought about that. But it's let's say, of course, I actually have two projects that I have myself been very passionate or engaged with those projects and have had the opportunity to work with. And I would like to point out one of them, that it's an office building in Gothenburg. Which was a very interesting story, because it's an innovation arena, a working lab, it's called, and it's built in timber, because we did a life cycle analysis very, very early 2014 at AFRY that it's better to build in timber from the climate aspect. But the interesting story for me personally there is that going back to my master thesis, because that was about energy storage with phase change materials, which is like salt solutions. And 5 years later, when I started at AFRY, after my thesis, then 5 years later, I started AFRY, I started to work with this project. And then they said, yeah, but here we're going to have an innovation project with energy storage with phase change materials.
Wow, so started in the bottom, now we are here.
Yeah, and then I was like, wow, like, do you realize that this is like probably one of the very few consultants that actually knows about this topic? That I'm so very happy to work with this project.
That's
and
amazing.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. So we have a full-scale energy storage there, thermal energy storage. With salt solution in order to reduce the peak demand for cooling. So that's also like quite special, because normally it's for the heating demand. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that would be like my favorite projects, because and we had a really great teamwork in that project also. A lot of focus on innovation, and also like as I mentioned before, like really creating the conditions to work together to reach the full potential and to share the knowledge. So it was a really great team in that project.
That's lovely. And what's the other building?
Well, the other building is the one that one of my first projects that I work with. So I've been working on it. I normally say 8 years, but I am still in charge of the project in our system. And
what building is that?
That's also in Gothenburg, because I live in Gothenburg, and it's the what was it in Swedish now, or in English? I mean, it's the regional council building. So sometimes you see it in the news because the council from Västra Götaland is using that building as their office. And there's an interesting story with that one also, because there was since it's a public building, so then was like some kind of some political decisions. So we first design phase, I was doing the energy simulations and daylighting, indoor climates, and then it was they stopped the project for 3 years. During the time I had increased my knowledge, so when I started working with it again in a different position, then I was the energy environmental coordinator in that project.
Cool. And
during also all those years, we actually completely changed how the building looks like. So it was really like a very interesting process, and a lot of insights and learnings from there.
It's amazing. I hope the architect is happy now.
Yeah. I'm sure that they actually
with all the changes you made.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There it was. I was very passionate about the facade there, and I'm very proud of it also. And actually they found that building won the glazing award. I don't really remember. I think it was for the Association for Glazing in Sweden. So they won that because it's a really beautiful curtain wall with different colors and so on.
Congratulations!
Yeah, and a really great architect also. So and a good client, and
good stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every time you pass by, you get your tears. Oh, I was part of this, or you're still part of the other one.
Yes, and it's true story. My friends are so tired. We're like, yes, Kaia, we know you have worked with this project. It's like, shut up already. I'm like, oh yeah. Have I mentioned?
Don't take that road. She's gonna talk.
Yes, and it is a city center, so you can't.
You can avoid it.
Yeah, no, you can't really. So yeah. Yeah.
I think this is the beauty of working with your passion.
Yeah. I'm crying now from this. Yes.
That's awesome. And I'm interested now also, like from my point of view as an urban planner, what is your favorite city?
Ooh, my favorite city.
You have been in different cities as well.
Yes. Oh, my favorite city. And I'm thinking like really like practical aspects also.
I can make it easier for you. Yeah? You cannot choose Gothenburg.
Thank you.
So you don't need to.
Thank you. I was going to say Barcelona. And maybe not from really like the let's say touristic point of view from that perspective. It's more like since I lived there for 1 year, and as a student you have really the chance to really discover the whole city because you're really like that's the whole point why you are there. And I have been visiting there many times. And also actually I've been doing like guided tours for my friends and family in Barcelona, actually. Amazing. For a Spanish friend that is not from Barcelona, I did that. So that was really because in my family also it's very important that with my mother, my siblings, that it's very important that when you visit a place that you also visit like all the sightseeing, like the culture buildings and places. So in Barcelona it's like if you need some tips where to go.
we will have a festival there in the beginning of June. It's called Post-COVID Cities.
Oh,
together with Barcelona municipality.
Yeah, cool.
It's very interesting. And now I want to test one thing. So once you Erasmus.
You're always Erasmus. Yes.
Okay, now
where have you studied?
In Milano.
Milan.
Okay,
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Now, okay, respect, Kaia.
yeah, truly, yeah. Which is your favorite city then?
It's Milan. This is
it's like a word.
It's just to make it clear for the listeners. When you go abroad, it's an Erasmus program in Europe. You study abroad, and there's a very famous quote that would say, "Once you're Erasmus forever." It means that the city you visit, you will be in love with it, and also you will keep love to travel and meet new people and interact and exchange culture. And I think this is a lovely thing to have in life.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, it's like really unforgettable experience. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Now I know why we have a good harmony.
Yeah, that must be the reason. Really,
yeah. Awesome. So, Kaia, now we talked about leadership, building cities. Do you have time for your hobbies?
Yes, I do. Even if it sounds I'm trying to put up a facade here that I'm like a saint here, it's just joke aside. Yeah, yes. When it comes to hobbies, then I can be even more passionate than and the climate neutrality, because a few years ago I discovered kitesurfing for me, and I went all in. So it's I would say maybe half a year back I have like stopped looking at the wind forecast every morning I wake up. Now I rely more on the friends that they will tell me, like, okay, it can be windy in a few days, so be prepared. So I'm very very passionate about that. That's really I would say that's really one of the best things I've done. And as I just said, we both done Erasmus, and it's really amazing. And so I would say, yes, kitesurfing is really, if you haven't tried it, go for it. Of course, it's not for everyone, but it's
worth to try.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
I'm very active, and work-life balance is very important. So because it's important that we ourselves feel good, so then will everybody around us feel good also.
You're bringing very important things here, and I would love to highlight it. Yesterday I was also like being interviewed by another podcast, and it's also about sustainability. So what I believe, and I guess I would love to hear what you believe, I think in order to create a sustainable world, we need to be sustainable within ourselves, like to take care of ourselves and so on. What do you think?
It's very important. It's where everything begins, and I think there has been also a lot of let's say focus on that. What I mean, like social media, like the personal growth and so on, but the true meaning, really, of course, it's very important, because if we don't have the energy to give, then there is nothing good will come of that either. And I know it also from a very personal experience, because also when for me, the first sign of let's say that I have maybe too much on my plate, or trying to be to too many things, is that when I'm trying to be very efficient, and then also my communication, you're like getting more like short in the answers and so on. I am already very direct. It's not that, but it's like also that then I realize, okay, now I need to take some time to, let's say, like recover or change focus also, because it's good to be engaged. It's just that maybe we need to have both balance, but also variety in what we do. That like it's not about like working a lot and then doing nothing. It's more like working with one thing, but then maybe doing like something else. You can still be engaged and like use your brain or your body, but it's like doing something completely different. And that's, for example, kitesurfing for me. So it's so much fun, and it's like you're not thinking of anything else than kitesurfing.
Yeah.
So,
and this is also part of the leadership, like self-leadership. Like you should really take care of yourself in order to contribute to this planet.
Exactly. And then when I say that, it doesn't mean that I'm like 100% perfect. No one is. It's just like I'm aware of it. I think it starts. Most of the things also start with self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like, for example, that the goal is not to be perfect. It's just to be aware that, oh, now maybe it wasn't like the best, so let's try better next time.
And also for to all the listeners, there's a Urbanistica podcast. I did it during the Christmas with Amo, and what he said is like, if you feel good, you do good. So the start point is that you feel good about yourself and what you do. Great. Before we end this amazing episode, because now you will give us 3 takeaway messages, and also later 1 question for us to reflect. So let's start with the 3 takeaway messages.
I would say the 3 takeaway messages, it's to be curious, to truly try to understand, listen to understand, and to learn. Because the more aware we are, the more knowledge, the better we can do, and also have more fulfilled life, because it's more interesting. And the leadership, dare to lead, really. So be inclusive.
Within the organization, or how do you mean?
I mean in a way that it doesn't take much to be kind. To just be aware. Because also when we come back to the leadership, it really hit me when you realize that like what is our basic need as human beings is that actually we want to be heard and we want to be seen. And so when you're aware of that and think of that, it's quite easy.
Really, really powerful messages. And do you have a powerful question for us as well?
Yes, I do. And the question is that, or I would like everyone to really reflect on what can we do in our everyday lives in order to make a positive impact on the climate in our society. What we can do, it's not someone else and so on. So just really reflect on that, because there's definitely something that everybody can do.
Yeah. I'm so happy, Kaia, to meet you, to talk to you. I'm following you on LinkedIn, and I'm very inspired by you. So today I have the chance to meet you IRL. So thank you so much for being here, for inspiring us, and for doing a really good job here at AFRY. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy that you considered me for this podcast. It has been really interesting to talk to you. It has also given me the possibility to reflect on those questions in a bigger perspective that maybe in everyday life where we don't think of. So it has been really, really nice and fun talking to you.
Thank you, Kaia.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You learned something new and also got inspired by the guest. Don't forget to share the episode on your social media and recommend it to people you think they are really interested in this topic. Thank you so much again for giving your valuable time to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.